basically says something about, I'm going to share just a small bit of the startup phase from my company. And I'll share some personal thoughts about how I experienced one part of the process from the start to where I am now. So it's personal. I'll give my opinion about things. Note that that's not the absolute truth. You can make your own truth. But yeah, I just want to give you some food for thought when you leave. So my company is Vrijwerk. I started the company a year and a half ago, well, almost 2 years ago, with a business partner. And we started off in a completely different direction as where we are now. So we started with product design that actually turned into construction and turned into materialization. And actually now it's a whole lot of PHP programming and so on. And I'm going to show you the transition in between, how we went from hardcore product design to hardcore coding. Back in 2011, the magazine Frame and the design label Mooi had an award, a design contest, and we had one design that we sent in. And the tilt was actually our entry. So it's a wall lamp that is basically, it's a classical table lamp that is basically put onto a wall. And it was made from stainless steel. And we thought, oh, this is so nice. Let's see how we can market this, and let's see how we can get it to an audience. So that basically marked the start of the company. And our drive was to have craftsmanship, and have kind of products that come from a lot of soul that you put into it. So we were really passionate and driven about making things. And that's the end of the microphone. Yeah. So making things that are authentic. So we started with the tilt, and the DNA came short thereafter, and we tried to elaborate them up to production ready and market launch. So this is one of the prototypes from DNA, and this was at some point one of the iterations. And along the way, we, you bump into challenges that you have when you elaborate on things, whether it's a physical product or whether it's a computer system. You find things that you need to solve. And as we were trying to solve a few of these issues, you learn a lot, you iterate, and you spend a lot of time on it. And basically you start over again, you learn a lot, and so on. In the meantime, we said, hey, listen, we can keep iterating, and we can keep designing. Let's put a really clear goal for ourselves, and that is September. So this is around February. We said in September we'd like to launch, and we'd like to launch at a place where we get a lot of exposure. So we committed ourselves to the Woonbeurs, which is a very big event in Amsterdam, where we could actually, have a point where we could live up to. So we kind of had 6 months to overcome some of the challenges that we had, and it seemed very, very possible. It seemed very viable. However, the tilt proved not to be economically feasible, so we really had to skip that and stop spending time on it. But as we were working on the elaboration of that, we found a way to make the lamp in such a way that you could actually have a unique model every single time by just using a really good production method, basically, and use cut design with laser cutting. And this is actually one of the proposals that we sent to a manufacturer. Like, hey, listen, can you do something more or less like this? We'd like to have a unique piece every single time by just changing the 3D model that we sent to you. And they said, yeah, sure, no problem. We can do it. Just deliver the models like this, and we can make it as you wish. So that actually changed the whole road from through product design, so aesthetics, into CAD design, so computer-aided design with 3D models, and trying to find a way that every dimension in the product was an equation, and that if you change some digit somewhere, that it would change the whole shape. So it went from drawing to mathematics. And then we thought, hey, you know what? This is actually quite cool. We can have a design your own lamp online concept. So instead of doing it for ourselves, let's not design ourselves, but let other people design it, and we make it for them. So design your own lamp was a concept that was created. And we thought it is so cool to offer, people a chance to make their own unique lamp, something that hasn't been done yet. Let's really focus on that. So we were at a crossing. Do we continue in the way we were, or do we drastically change the direction, knowing that if we fail, then shit really hits the fan? And yes, we took the hard way. And knowing that we only had 2 months left to come up with something that was drastically new and do it in such a way that it's actually plausible. So luckily we had a few people in our network that could help us do the first steps of the digital system. So it went from shapes to mathematics to JavaScript. This is actually where JavaScript comes in. So it's basically a Bezier curve, a B-spline, that you can change. You can drag the handlers, and all these circles are calculated on the fly. So this was the version 0.0 actually of the tool, done by a good friend of ours. However, with the version 0.1, you're far from something that you can launch at an event where 200,000 people come. So normally you would say, listen, let's just spend 200,000 euros and have a company make it, in 2 months. Yeah, sorry, we didn't have that money. So we had to find a way to, to do it as economically as possible and as cost effective as possible. And that brings, it makes things really difficult. But yeah, for us it was a nice challenge. So like we said, we dug into our network again and tried to find people that could help us and that could do a lot of coding. So this was actually one step further in creating the system that would make it possible for you to order online. So to actually have a good framework to offer this to clients, we chose to have WooCommerce and WordPress as the CMS, and then have a tool specifically made into this framework. And we hired a freelance web developer to do that for us. So step by step, we got into the system that that worked, and we got into a system that could actually be done, and that users could actually purchase a lamp. So the system was growing and growing and growing, and it became more serious, and we thought, hey, listen, we're gonna make it. For fuck's sake, we're really gonna make it. And you know, everything looked really promising, not knowing, you know, all the hurdles that were in front of us. But well, hey, things are advancing, right? So this is how the system still is now. You have a 3D model with a lot of equations, and in the front end, when you change something, in this part, all the digits are calculated to make the model as you design it, and that we can send it for manufacturing. So the system was more or less up and running, and this is how it felt, right? So if you have the blue curve, that's the result, and at the top right, and that's where you want to be, and red, that's basically what you are doing, or the freelance web developer or whoever. And you know, a month before we were at that point, and everything was going so rapidly, and it was developing so quickly that we thought, hey, we're really gonna make it. And then the last 3 weeks, just before you really have to launch, you think like, holy crap, there's so much to do, and it takes so much time. We don't think we're gonna make it. And yeah, you skip important steps. You know, money is running out, time is running out. You have to cut corners either way, and you have to compromise. So what we skipped was thorough testing, user testing, and so forth. And thought like, hell, you know what? What's it good for anyways, right? So we did some testing, but obviously not as much and not as thorough as you would normally need to do for a system that you envision to be so serious. But then we were there at the event. We launched it. Well, we did a soft launch. We had a lot of feedback from the visitors there. We still had a lot of work to do, and we still had a lot of improvements to be made. But we experienced this really clear mark, this really clear goal, as something that pushed us way beyond our comfort zone. You know, we were pushed to make it in time, and if we didn't have this event, I don't even know that if we would come to this concept. So these are examples from the fair. So it's not about the fair itself. However, after the fair, we realized a couple of things, right? We jumped onto this train of something that felt so good and so right, and it felt so unique that we took that chance. And we took it despite the fact that we knew that A, it was really hard to do in the time that we had, and B, it was really hard to do with the budget that we had. So my lesson from me to you now is, what should we have done in hindsight with the knowledge that we gained and with the knowledge that we have now, if I look back at the process? Where did we cut corners where we didn't need to cut corners? Number one, we overlooked a very important aspect, and that is, if you have, so this is part of a theory where you say, okay, listen, you have a target group, and then from that target group you go into a need, and you transform that need into a proposition, and from the proposition you look at what channels and means you would like to use to actually get that proposition to the market, right?
what we did is we had this idea, we had a proposition, and from there on we didn't even think about the target group. We kind of had an idea about the needs, but we dug so deep into that proposition and making that proposition work that we forgot the rest. In hindsight, we should have taken a lot more time, or should have spent a lot more time in the first part. Like, okay, we have this really cool idea, but do we really have, should we really jump into it right now with the energy that we do? I don't know. I don't know. It's, we've done it. We learned a lot. I think I would do it differently, but then again, yeah, the proposition was there. We got it for free as a figure of speech. So we had a proposition. We kind of knew where we wanted to be, but we didn't have clear targets, apart from we'd like to launch in September. We didn't specify anything about numbers, we didn't specify anything about how we would offer it and so forth. So we set ourselves one clear goal, but all the other goals we didn't even know, let alone that we could reach it. This is what we were envisioning. You have a system, you change the shape, you change the colors, and you have your unique lamp at home in 2 weeks. And we captured this image as a translation from what we had in our mind. And we went full frontal to realizing this image. And it delivered us a system that worked at the moment that it needed to work. But we kind of overlooked the fact that, is this really the way to go? Is it really that you want to have a tablet and adjust something and then have your lamp? So we kind of didn't ask thorough questions about if this is really the image, if this is really what is life-worthy. Number 3 is that since our targets were kind of impossible for the budget that we had to do it with off-the-shelf solutions. And later on we found out, like, man, the off-the-shelf solutions are really okay, but if you tailor them so specifically to your need, then the off-the-shelf solution is really something that you cannot work with. This is the template that we used for our system. It is a plugin for WooCommerce that basically offers you everything. So you just have to change the names, and you add your products and so forth, and then it works, and then people can select and sell and buy it. Our tool was embedded into that theme in such a way that normally if you want to add a product, it's really easy. The CMS does all the work for you. But we stripped it to such an extreme extent that we lost all that capabilities, and that now if you want to add a few things, your system doesn't allow it anymore. That was probably the most expensive shortcut that we took, looking at it now. So if we want to do things now, we need to do hardcore coding instead of that we can simply use the CMS as it was intended to. So this is how it works. Normally, you add a new product, you add all your metadata and all the features and so on, and then it is available. If we'd like to add something now, we have to divert to this. So do a lot of JavaScript and PHP coding, which it was a really cheap solution, but looking at it now, it's a serious pain in the ass. But then, yeah, we didn't know back then. So we took all the decisions based on our return on investment. Since our budget was so limited, with every step that we took, we thought, hey, how is this going to return to us? And you know, it really colors your decisions. However, what I would propose now is it doesn't only evolve around what you get in return. Determination and drive are really important factors that you cannot express into numbers. And passion and love, you know, those are the things that you cannot express in it either. So all of our decisions that were so based on economics, now in hindsight, they're really good, but if I would do the whole process again, I would probably say, listen, if that's the image if that is the goal that I'm chasing, if that is what I'm envisioning, I'm not gonna race and start making money in a very short term. I'll just do it in a way that feels really natural and feels right. And what it comes down to is that instead of looking at return, you look at satisfaction. And what I learned throughout the whole process is that the whole venture of learning, falling, making mistakes, that's actually what gives me satisfaction rather than you know, only the turnover and the sales. So for me, it's about balancing between what is possible and what delivers me something, you know, a true happiness that is intrinsic. And this is my story. This is what I wanted to share with you guys. Thanks. Any questions? Yes?
What is the current state of the company?
The current state of the company is that we just finished a project with a strategic company to look at a roadmap for the coming years. So the concept is still there. What we're doing now is looking at, okay, it is there, the basis is there, but what makes us really unique and what uniqueness do we like to keep for the next few years? There are still many things that need to be redeveloped, need to be elaborated. We're doing a project with a few UCs here as a design case. And yeah, we're going for the version 2.0 of the website and of the system. So the whole design your own element stays, because we strongly believe that authenticity and uniqueness are really linked together. And that's where we're going. We're stepping away from mass and we're going to decentralized and unique. So that's where the company is now. It's still in full development.
But it is already possible to order my own unique.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
You had a slide where you said at some point you just dropped all the important things like user research, because what's it good for, right? And then I thought you were going to come with the next slide saying that you really missed it, but you did not. So as we are on UXCamp, can you explain to us what is the value then of actually doing the user research?
What is it good for, right, was sarcastic. Obviously, I know that it is so exceedingly important, but you're in such a flow and you're working towards a very clear event, right? Of course, I knew that it was just insanely wrong to launch something without user testing. but then again, you know, you're in such a rush, and basically there's not more than 24 hours in a day, and yeah, you can't work for 24 hours. That was the compromise that we did to finish other things, you know, at the moment that it needed. So looking back, of course, yeah. Now, if we're going for version 2.0, thorough testing will be done, and we'll learn from what we do there.
Yeah, but that wasn't really my question. Like, we all know that we should do user evaluations, but when you actually did not have time to do it, so you did not do it. What was the consequence? Were there consequences? Or can you maybe say, maybe every time if you go for version 1.0, it's okay to skip it?
Okay, that's a really good question. The consequence was that we would probably design the system in a different way. So design the front end, design the whole user experience in a different way. We did some assumptions, and a web developer programmed that. And well, we didn't check if those assumptions were right. We didn't check if that whole user experience was as valid or as pleasurable as we intended it to be. Yeah. So that's basically what we, what we missed.
Do you have a concrete example of something that you learned after the project was launched that maybe users said, like, this is really uncomfortable? Or
The fact that, so the system was based on JavaScript. So one of the main examples is that as a result, the fidelity is quite low. So you change the shape and then you have like a preview, but the preview is, you know, it's not really lifelike, basically. So what users find really difficult is to envision how that actually is as a product that would be in their house. So that's one of the main things that that is a big drawback of the system as it is now. Yeah.
I really like the presentation and the way you acknowledge that these are the things that you did wrong. But I have two questions, and they're not very UX relevant, but how did you decide on the price of the lamps? Because they seem really expensive. I saw the prices like $169, $139. Is it just based on market research, or did you just base it on that this is a niche market and this is their earning income per year that we can have this price?
No, the price is basically, so since it is unique, manufacturing costs are quite high, and it is the manufacturing price plus just a little bit of margin, and margin is not even that great. But yeah, making it unique and making, do all the processing, manufacturing, and so on, and that basically determines the price. So it was not about making a lot of money for each sales.
And how many people were there in your team, and how were you getting paid? Were you supporting it yourself, or were you getting paid from an external source?
No, we were with two, and we were basically paying everything ourselves. So it was, a bit savings, and it's freelance work that we both did to finance it. Yeah.
Ask another one. You mentioned there was a freelance coder.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you find that person, and how was their quality of work? Did you know them in person, or did you find them just on a forum?
Yeah, so there's a website called freelance.nl where you can post assignments or projects or whatever, and then people can respond. So as they respond, you can check their portfolio and see what they've done, and then you can select the one that you liked. So we selected one, and yeah, he eventually, you know, to our luck, he was a really good web developer. We were very lucky, because if not, then still shit would have hit the fan. That's it? Okay, thank you guys, thank you.